I've always found Penguin to be a really interesting Batman villain, and in some ways one of the most versatile, because he is never really portrayed the same way twice. He is constantly given new origin stories. He's had every origin story from literally being raised by penguins in the sewers to just being a mobster with a funny walk or a funny face. So he's constantly being reinvented, given different origin stories, and it's one of those characters that I think is very palpable and very easily sculpted into whatever serves the story, which is what I think makes him such a frequently used Batman villain. If an A-lister Batman villain is needed to be a mob boss in a story, Penguin is a very easy go-to. If you need a little bit more of a monsterish human being, you can easily turn Penguin into that as well. Gotham Knights appears to be going more in the businessman, mobster direction for the character. His family is one of the 5 that actually founded the city in this game's lore and continuity. And from the limited footage that we've seen of him, he appears to interact with the Knights in a pretty friendly, or at least cordial way. He talks to Nightwing in the story trailer that we got back at the last DC Fandom. And in some ways, he actually appears to be an ally, which is an interesting direction for the character, but in some ways it would make sense, considering the landscape of Gotham, considering that Batman is dead in this universe, and also considering that the Court of Owls are starting to reveal themselves. It seems that the Court of Owls have potentially even been the ones responsible for taking out Batman, feeling that he was interfering too much in the city's infrastructure, which, as we all know, they control. Penguin, as someone who is very interested in control himself and power, as, again, one of the members of the founding families of Gotham, he would definitely have a vested interest in taking out the Court of Owls, and if that lines up with the Knights, they may be temporary allies. Now, that's not to say that there won't be a twist later in the game where he's manipulating the Knights and still has an agenda against them as well, but maybe there will be a fragile alliance between them for a good chunk of the game's story. Ultimately, there's not tons to go off of based on what we've seen. I've mentioned that he is a member of one of the founding families of Gotham. He very likely had some sort of business relationship or rivalry with Bruce Wayne as well as Batman, so it will be interesting to see what those were. Perhaps this version of Oswald Cobblepot isn't much of a villain. Maybe he is more of a businessman who just has a corrupt dealing every now and then, or maybe he is a full-on villain. Again, we really don't know. It doesn't appear that Nightwing was particularly angry with him or had to do much to interrogate him about the Court of Owls. He seemed pretty willing to give up this information, and he seemed pretty willing to just be talking to Nightwing in his office. So, again, it just seems like an interesting role. This isn't something that we've seen often in all the Arkham games. If you ever wanted to get information from Penguin, you had to go interrogate him, intimidate him, but that doesn't seem to be the case here. He seems very calm and collected, but also very frightened of the Court of Owls. So it will be interesting to see his role. It'll be interesting to see what he does know about the Court of Owls and how he interacts with the Knights regarding them, whether or not he is an ally or a straight-up enemy. But anyways, thanks you guys so much for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Let me know in the comments below what you think about what we've seen of Penguin so far, and we will see you guys in the next video.